Hello everyone, this is Ojus here, and it has been one day since the February 2022 Nintendo Direct, and I have some opinions to share about this event. Overall, I think it was very positive and a jam-packed event. So without further ado, let's discuss this Nintendo Direct. Firstly, I'd like to talk about Fire Emblem Warriors. This is the first thing that they announced. Now, while this franchise and the Warrior style games are not my style of game, I am happy for a lot of friends that I know that really love Fire Emblem, and they also love the Muso style games. The one thing that I'd really like to discuss here, though, is the much more in-depth Muso game that the team at Team Ninja, I believe, has been making. Before, with Fire Emblem Warriors as well as Hyrule Warriors, they were way more broad. They looked at the entire franchise. But with Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, they went more in depth into one game. They're doing that here again. Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes is specific to 3 houses, and I think that just shows how much more big franchise has become, that they can focus solely just on one game for the entire gameplay, which I think is really good for the fans as well. A summer release for this game is not something that I expected, and that's really good for a lot of fans. They're able to get it very quickly from announcement to release date, and that's something that happens over and over in this Direct, which I really like. After this, we also got Advance Wars Reboot Camp, and one thing I want to talk about here is that there is voice acting. I really don't like it when a lot of modern day games that require voice acting don't have voice acting, like Pokemon. So seeing voice acting in here is really good. It makes the game so much better. It makes it have so much more immersiveness to the gameplay. A few features that I like: there's fast forwarding. Advance Wars is like a game that is like a pick up and play and then get back to work type of game. So having fast forwarding, especially if you're in a time crunch, that's a really good feature. There's also some new game mechanics that they said that they're adding. So there's like a pipeline game mechanic that they're adding to the game. And this is good new additions to the game, especially for people who have played the game, who played the original game. Also, one thing that I wanted to note, they announced more modes, and the mode that I really liked is Map Maker. Map Maker just adds so much more replayability value to the game, and it's a really good addition. And then they also announced multiplayer, which is going to be a recurring thing here. Nintendo's adding multiplayer to a lot of games. I'm really glad that they added it to this game. Again, that just adds more replayability value to the game. It's launching in April 8th, which I think is a good release date for the game. After this, there's one game that they announced that surprised me. It was No Man's Sky. And I'm a huge fan of video games that are based in space. So seeing this game on the Switch and it looking so good, it makes me excited. At first I was a little apprehensive. I thought, is this running on the cloud? Is this a cloud game? I watched the trailer twice. They did not have a disclaimer anywhere saying this is running on cloud, you'll need an internet connection, none of it. So if it's running natively, that is really exciting. One thing that I wanted to say is that a game that not many people played that was in space was Starlink Battle for Atlas, and that game looked really good on the Switch. So there has been precedent for space type games to look really good, so I am a full believer that this game is running natively on the Switch, and I really do look forward to it. Next up is Mario Strikers Battle League. First thing I want to talk about here is the art style. Oh my god, the art style looked amazing. And the one thing that I loved is the change in art style when characters launch their special move, which I think is called Hyper Strike. Just that cartoony comic book art style in those segments, it looks gorgeous, and it does not distract from the gameplay one bit at all. A few other things, the clothing that the characters are wearing, they all look gorgeous, and I absolutely love the clothing that they gave my favorite Mario character, Bowser. He just looks stunning. They also have like different gear that you can change on them, so you can change the stats. That's like a thing you can do in Mariokart with the cart, so I really like that just adds another layer of depth and strategy into the game. They also announced online multiplayer, which again is a nice addition. You can also have clubs, which is an even bigger addition. That just makes it even more competitive. You know, you want to get to the #1 spot. That means that I wouldn't be surprised to see if there are clans that form around this game, and even a competitive scene might even grow, because they even announced 8-player local play. So I would not be surprised if a competitive scene arises here. I believe Next Level Games is making this, and their last game was Luigi's Mansion 3. So 3-year dev cycle, I believe, and it looks absolutely stunning. It's releasing in June 10th, It's a good game, and I hope people play it. Strickers is a good franchise. Now, for the next game, the game that I'm the most hyped about this year, the game that I was most hyped to see in this direct, Splatoon 3. So we got news on Salmon Run Next Wave, but before we talk about that, I do want to talk about one thing, and that's just how much better Splatoon 3 looks when compared to Splatoon 2. This may just be the fanboy inside of me, but I think it looks 10 times better than Splatoon 2. Everything about it, when the trailer opened and you saw that ink, right, the shininess of the ink, it's just the map and how it looked. The facial expressions on the Inklings looked so much more cleaner. And then also the character models of the Inklings and the Octolings just looked a lot more clean and defined. And like I said, it looks absolutely stunning. One thing that I also wanted to talk about is the moment that this trailer started, I knew it was Splatoon. Splatoon just has that art style where once you see it, you instantly know that it is Splatoon. Now talking about Salmon Run, they showed us new boss Salmonoids. There is Fish Stick, Flipper Flopper, and then there's like a big boss, the giant Salmonoid. And they all look amazing. I love the variety, I love how they're new. For the Flipper Flopper, I believe you have to paint the ground that the circle is on so that you can get the Flipper Flopper to come out, and then you can kill it. It looks really, really good. And then they showed one thing that made me so excited. It will literally change the entire way that you play Salmon Run, and that is the egg throw. I'm not kidding here. That is a huge addition. Just think about it. There have been many times in Salmon Run where you're at the last few seconds, you need one more Salmonoid egg, but there's a lot of Salmonoids around you and you die. You can't do anything, right? And you lose. But what if there's another teammate that is by the basket? You can just throw that egg to the teammate and you can move on to the next round. It changes the game. There's other things you can do as well. Let's say in a team of 4, one of the team members stays back. They protect that area. Other team members can just throw the egg to the teammate, and the teammate can put it in the basket. That's another change in strategy. And then obviously we also saw they can also throw the egg into the basket. So if you're in the final 5 seconds, you need one more egg, you're close to the basket, you throw it in, and you get that clutch win. It literally changes the game. It is a godly addition to Salmon Run. Also, one more thing that I want to talk about. We might have seen a special, I think it was a crab special. It basically looked like a Gatling gun or like a machine gun, and it looked awesome, it looked amazing. So all in all, Splatoon 3, it looks gorgeous, and I cannot wait for this game. It's making me so hyped. Next up is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Highlight of this trailer, Kirby can become a car. So that was basically the biggest thing that they showed, is the new abilities for mouthful mode. So you can become a car, you can become a vending machine, you can inhale water or a light bulb. And it's basically Mario Odyssey, right? You're being able to become the things that you inhale, and that will just add so much more variety to the gameplay. It will make a lot more unique elements in the gameplay, and I'm very excited to see that. They also showed us the hub world, which is called Waddle-Dee Town. And one interesting thing that I noted is that that town will grow. You know, as you save more Waddle-Dees, as you progress more through the game, it will grow and become bigger and more lively. And I think that's such a cool addition to the game. And then one thing that I also saw that really excited me is that they have added a feature where you can upgrade your copy abilities. So this just basically adds another layer to the game. You can make fire breathing so much more better, so much more stronger, have more range. That's basically like an RPG element in a platforming game. It literally adds an additional layer to the gameplay that will just make it so much more fun to play this game. It's going to be amazing. They've taken Kirby into a much better direction with this game, and I cannot wait to play it. Now, for the second announcement of this Direct, that is like my number 2 announcement. It's not the second announcement in the Direct, it's the announcement for me that was my second most hyped in the Direct. It's right after Splatoon, and that is Nintendo Switch Sports. This is one of the best announcements. I absolutely loved it. I loved the Wii Sports growing up. I love Wii Sports as well as Wii Sports Resort. And one thing I want to note on, there's like a lot of criticism before the Direct of people saying that there'll be a casual game that no one will like. If they were referring to Wii Sports, they do not know what they're talking about. Wii Sports is a phenomenal casual game. So they announced that there'll be 6 modes. There'll be tennis, bowling, and chamara, which are returning. Of those, bowling was my favorite. And then soccer, badminton, and volleyball are new games that are returning. And this is cool. However, I wish there were more modes, either new modes or returning modes. For example, boxing was one of my favorite modes on the original Wii Sports. However, seeing that they're going to be adding golf in the fall makes me a bit more hopeful that they might add more modes later on. Also, one other thing, I think this is the first time we're seeing multiplayer in Wii Sports, and that's amazing. Being able to play with your friends or with other people is just going to be awesome to see. There's also a small segment where Koizumi-san and Takahashi-san were playing the game, and I absolutely love this segment. It was quirky, and it's quirky stuff like this that I really miss in Nintendo Directs. So, if you remember the quirky stuff that Iwata-san and Reggie Fils-Aimé and Bill Trennan used to do. It'll be releasing on April 29th, again, announcement, and then a short cycle between release date. It's something that I love to see. It was a really good game to announce. I'm really excited. I hope that they also have like other modes, like a training mode, or in the original Wii Sports they had a mode where you could like play games every day and it would tell you your age based on your performance. So I hope they have modes like that on the side as well. One small thing I want to talk about is Earthbound. They basically announced that Earthbound and Earthbound Beginnings will be releasing. This is something that they had done on the Wii U as well, so it's really nice to see that. I'm really happy for the fans. It's not really my game, but I'm happy that they did it finally. Now, probably the third best announcement of this Direct, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pack. While I had predicted DLC, my DLC was what I would say was more wishful. I wanted new characters, new carts, new battle modes. However, they're just doing new tracks. It's a little bit of a bummer for me, but it makes sense, right? If the main aspect of Mario Kart is racing, a lot of people might be getting tired of the tracks that are already in it. So what do? You release remasters of older tracks, which is something I'll talk about in a bit. And it's really cool to see that they'll be delivering 48 new retro tracks over the course of the next 2 years, basically, and it's all for $25, which I think is a good deal. Plus, if you have the higher tier of Nintendo Switch Online, you get it for free, so that just adds value. However, it's just retro tracks. I really wish it was also new tracks. I would have loved to see the creativity that Nintendo would have had. Like, think about new tracks in franchises that are new. Like, wouldn't it have been cool if we saw a track for like Xenoblade or something, you know, or maybe for Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 or 1, you know, it would have been cool, but old tracks is also pretty cool. However, with retro tracks, there is a lot of like high praise tracks that we haven't seen in HD, or even nostalgic tracks. For me, personally, I want to see, we've already seen Coconut Mall from the Wii, but I do want to see like Delfino Plaza from Mario Kart DS, or the autumn themed track from Mario Kart Wii, or even Waluigi Pinball from Mario Kart DS. Overall, it's cool to see more DLC, and I just think that this further proves that we will not see Mario Kart 9 or the successor to Mario Kart until the successor to the Nintendo Switch is released. Moving on, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So this is Monolith Soft's next game. I was right about it closing the event with my predictions video, and it looks amazing. When you compare it to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, this game looks stunning. There's a few scenes where they show like the open world, like the big vistas, and it looked absolutely stunning to me. Overall, it looks fun. One thing I noticed, they're using British voice acting. I think it's now become canon that the voice acting in this game is British, which I think is a little funny. It'll be coming in September 2022. This was the only game that was not in the first half of 2022. So that's something that I'll touch upon in just a bit. Actually, I'll touch upon it right now. Everything except for Xenoblade was the first half. Most of the games that they announced was either February, March, April, May, and a few in June and July. And that really makes me excited for the second half of 2022 from Nintendo. We already know about games like Bayonetta 3, the sequel to Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Mario plus Rabbids, but there's so much more that can be announced, and it really makes me excited to see what is in store for the rest of 2022, and I'm already excited for the first half of 2022. So many games. I hope that Splatoon releases in July. They said summer 2022. I just hope it's either May or July, and I'll be happy. Now, let's talk about the grade for this Direct. Personally, I think it's an A-, and I think it shows something rather important. Nintendo does not have to rely on franchises like Zelda or Pokemon or Mario anymore to have an A grade Direct. They now have franchises that, maybe a decade ago were niche, but now they can really hold a Nintendo Direct up. Games like, franchises like Fire Emblem and Xenoblade 10 years ago were absolutely niche. And while they might still be niche now, they have a much bigger audience now, to the extent that they can open and close a Nintendo Direct. And I think that's awesome. And then you also have a new IP with Splatoon being able to hold a Direct as well. It just shows the significance of how much Nintendo's IPs have grown, and that really makes me excited for the future of Nintendo's games. So, that is it. That is the end of my impressions for the February 2022 Nintendo Direct. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of the Direct. What games are you most excited for? I hope you enjoyed listening to this, and thank you for watching.